Hey guys, it's easy like a Sunday morning, and I'm your host, Shane Lachlan. Welcome to the show. And today I've made myself some 2-minute noodles for breakfast. I know. And I've put a little bit too much curry powder in. So excuse me clearing my throat. My throat is actually burning right now. But that's some of the funny stuff that I get up to. Quite unintentionally, I might add, by the way. But today is the 22nd of June 2014, and I have to keep an eye on the date because I have an exam on the 3rd of July, and the graduation will be on the 20th of August. So that's something to look forward to. I've got to pull some things out and actually do a bit more revision and stuff like that, but we'll get to that. Thank you once again, everybody, for tuning in, listening, downloading, watching, any other verb you can think of to get this show into your mindscape. There goes my throat again. Great. There's quite a few things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. It's all good. It's all good. The first thing is that when I started this podcast, Spreaker had an allotment of 10 free hours worth of podcasting, or uploads, just audio uploads and things like that. So what I decided to do was do half-an-hour shows so that I could extend that time, so I could have 20 of these shows. And when I first started, I was just messing around, and I deleted a lot of the earlier shows because I just wanted to see what people would listen to. If I just uploaded any old random stuff, would people listen to that? But if I did a normal show, would people actually tune in every week and things like that? So I deleted all those earlier test shows, except for a few that I wanted to keep that were rather informative and things like that. And then I started this show. So, thanks once again. This show has now over 620 listens. I feel like saying the word views because I come from like a YouTube background. But yeah, it's over 620 listens over 14 episodes. This is episode 14 of this. So that's not too bad, actually. That's quite good for this for this little station channel, whatever you want to call it, for this podcast. But the reason I'm asking is, would you prefer a 45-minute show or an hour-long show instead of a half-an-hour show? The only problem is that I'm coming up to I've got about 4 hours left of recording space, and that's going to be about 8 shows or something like that of the regular half-an-hour show. But if I want more space, then I'm going to have to pay for that. And I'm not charging you guys anything for this. I don't have a sponsor for this, so I'm not getting paid for this. And I don't really want to, go out of my way. I don't really want to beg you guys for money and things like that. And I'm not really interested in the hard sell trying to spruik you guys stuff that you may or may not be interested in. So I'm going to have to look at different options. Now, I'd like to do a longer show. One of the limitations with Spreaker is that even if I had the space, a live show is only half an hour long. That's where basically if I hadn't prepared anything, then I can just very quickly, it's Sunday morning, I've got to record something, I can get a half an hour show out. But the problem with that is it doesn't have the TLC or the tender loving care that I'd like to present to you guys, my audience. The Buck 25 Club, as I have affectionately labelled you guys, because every time I upload this to YouTube, even though the podcasts don't generate any real income, in real terms they have generated like 10 cents each. However, because of the length of the podcast, it raises what's known as the CPM, or the clicks per million. Clicks per thousand. So every time that you get 1,000 views, it counts how many times people click on the ads and stuff like that. Because the length, they also go by the length of the videos and things. So if you do, if you do like a successful documentary that's like 2 hours long, and somebody watches all of it and sits through all the ads and occasionally clicks on the ads, then you're going to get paid a lot more money in the ad revenue and things like that. So that's what's happening here with this show. It's actually increasing the CPM of the YouTube videos, so that when somebody clicks on an ad on another YouTube video, right, on a normal YouTube video on the channel, the CPM goes way up. And I think it was something like $50 a couple of weeks ago. So for every 1,000 views, I'd be getting $50. But it doesn't work out that way exactly. And I'm not earning anywhere near that kind of money. But but it's great to know that this little podcast is actually helping out in other areas as well. Well, that's right. Going back to this, the $1.25 was, I'd noticed that every time I'd uploaded this, it improved the CPM to the point where if someone did click on a video, I'd get $1.25. And but that was all depending on whether or not I did a decent podcast the week before. The last couple of weeks, last one was pre-loved, shall we say? What's the word for it? Basically, I'd edited it and all that sort of stuff. Produced it. I produced it properly, that's the word. The week before I didn't. It was just a live show. It was lackluster, and it affects the ratings for the next week, because what happens is people listen, they either get offended, they switch off, I'm not listening to this, and then they decide that they're not going to listen in the next week. However, if they enjoy the experience, which I'm hoping that you're doing right now, they will tune in the next week, and so on and so forth. Ideally, that I want to get to the point where you're enjoying the show so much that you're sharing it with your friends and so on and so forth. Now, the thing is, I've got a rough idea of who listens to the show and who doesn't. That's why I have code words. That's why I appreciate feedback, both positive and negative. The negative feedback, it's counterintuitive. However, the negative feedback means that you've listened to what I've said, you've processed it in your mind, and then said, well, no, I disagree with that, and then you've gone to the trouble to say, no, well, I disagree. It doesn't matter what the issue is, because opinions are opinions, and my opinions are subject to change. And I think if I was to, I'd probably be more successful at a lot of other things in my life, whether it's this podcast or whether it's a YouTube channel, if I just stuck with one ideology and then just flogged it like a dead horse. But I'm not interested in doing that. That's not real to me, because my opinions are subject to change, because I'm constantly learning new information, and therefore you have to change your worldview to match with the reality of what's going on. And so what I'm going to do very shortly is do a segment called Meme Busters. Now, a meme, spelt M-E-M-E, right? A meme. I pronounce it meme. You can pronounce it however you like. Is normally those little pictures with a bit of text and stuff that get spread throughout Facebook and Twitter and all those sorts of things, right? They're ideas that go viral, but they're not really investigated. So what happened is, say, this meme that I'm going to bust, right, the one that's really annoying me is, and you may have heard of it, someone's going around saying that you shouldn't give ice water to dogs. Now, ice water is basically water with ice in it, just cold water. and they're saying it's bad for dogs. Okay? Now, the reason it's spreading now is because it's summer in the United States and the Northern Hemisphere. Okay? The meme is absolutely bunk, right? Cold water is not bad for dogs at all. In fact, I would recommend, if you've got a shop or anything like that, or if you've got friends that own a shop, just grab a bucket of water. Right, bucket of water, it could be room temperature or cold water, it doesn't matter. Leave a bucket of cold water out for dogs. Okay? It might be a foreign idea to you in your country, wherever you are, in the Northern Hemisphere. However, putting a bucket of water out for dogs may be good for business. It shows that you're compassionate for animals and things like that. But also what happens is people walk their dogs and they'll stop in front of your shop. And maybe if the advertising on the front of your shop window is attractive enough, they may pop into the store. Maybe not that on that occasion, but maybe next occasion, because okay, you've gone to the trouble of caring for animals and things like that. You never know. But it helps animals to live. We don't want them overheating and dying and whatever else. Now in Australia it gets extremely hot, like extremely hot. Dogs do not sweat, apparently. Apparently they can only sweat through their nose. I don't know whether that's 100% true science, so maybe do a little bit of Google search on that little factoid. But what I'll do is talk about another little factoid that I picked up from another podcast, like a science-based one, so you know it's true. But once again, always Google, do your own research and stuff like that. Another little pseudoscience thing that a lot of people have concerns about is ultrasounds. And ultrasound is perfectly safe. It is what it is. It's basically high frequency sounds that just bounce around the womb, and it creates like an image for whatever the scanners that they use, right? But a lot of people are expressing fears like, oh, does it damage the baby and all this sort of stuff. No, it's 100% harmless. The sound waves do not penetrate anything at all. They just bounce around. They don't harm the baby at all. So ultrasounds are 100% safe, as far as we know right now. And the other little factoid was that koalas, you may be familiar with they're not bears, they're marsupials, with koalas. And so I just couldn't figure out why, on really hot days, what they would do, the koalas would climb down to the middle of a tree, like the middle of the tree, and then hug the tree, but like really, really tightly. Like they'd find the biggest tree and hug it really tightly. And you'd think, if it was a really hot day, they'd want to find some sort of shelter or something like that. What they figured out was that when they were hugging these trees, there was no gap between the koala and the tree. So you think that would generate heat, right? Now, you and me, if we were to hug a tree, that would generate heat between me and the tree, us and the tree. But what happens is the trees actually lower the body temperature of the koala by about 7 degrees Celsius. And that's amazing, the fact that this is what they're doing. They're just hugging a tree, because I'm not sure exactly how it works. I think it's to do with the water that the bigger gum trees and stuff pull up from the ground, but that's my little speculation. That's not fact. But yeah, the koala stuff was actually quite interesting. I think that's from a podcast called The Naked Scientists, but you can check that out for yourself. What else is happening? There's a new TV show based on a DC character called The Flash, which I'm looking forward to. They're also doing a TV show called Gotham, which is the city that Batman protects. However, the story is not about Batman. The story is about Jim Gordon, the guy that becomes the commissioner. However, it's got like backstories, and it'll have like Bruce Wayne growing up and stuff like that, and all the villains and things from Batman. I think that'd be fairly interesting. But what I would really like to see is that Hollywood and some of these other TV show producers need to pull some fingers out and do a Wonder Woman show, do a Wonder Woman movie. We need more female superheroes, just in general. I don't know whether you agree with that or disagree with that. I just think in general, they've only got the one Wonder Woman. Give us a Batgirl show, give us, this and that. Give us a female version of the Flash. Who knows? Spice things up a little bit, a bit of variation, and see what happens. I'm looking forward to, speaking of comic book movies, I'm looking forward to seeing Guardians of the Galaxy. Looks absolutely fantastic. I'm not really familiar with the comic. It was just one of those ones that was, because they're not overly superpowered, they weren't part of the mainstream of the Marvel comics, so they weren't advertised as much, they weren't promoted as much, but they've got quite a lot of comics behind them, so if you want to check them out for comic readers and things like that. What else have I got? That's pretty much it for my notes, but that's taken me to 16 minutes. That reminds me, I've got to fill out a postcard for somebody in Canada. I'm pretty close to finding a name for the green puppet. There's been quite a few suggestions there, which has been absolutely fantastic. And I'm thinking of the name Peabody, and that's an exclusive for this podcast. Peabody, because his body is green and looks like a pea. Peabody. I might add like a surname to him and things like that. But that was submitted by someone who left a comment on the YouTube video. My foot's gone to sleep. That's reality for you. You won't get that in any other podcast. Because I'm sitting here in an uncomfortable spot. And I've had to sit here like this for the last 17 minutes while my throat cooled down from eating curry. Anyway, one of the problems with these podcasts is, like, as soon as you stop recording, there's a million things that come to mind. Oh, you should have said about that. You should have said about this. And of course, the moment I started talking was the moment they all escaped my mind. And that happens. But once again, I wanted to say thank you to everybody. And I do this every show. Thank everybody who's listening. What surprises me is I have access to some stats. Not all stats, but some. And of the 600 listens, that's like a total figure. This show has been downloaded, right, to various listening devices I think about 120 times. Okay, now for 13 episodes previously, that's pretty good. That's 10 people downloading this and listening to it on their either iPods or iPhones or various portable music playing devices, or they're listening to this on the computer through various other means other than YouTube, other than through Spreaker. If you want to be part of the show, I'm going to have an interview with Gero Black from Bulgaria. Now, his accent is very thick. However, I have agreed to interview him. He's like a young lad in his 20s, very early 20s, into video games, and he does stuff on YouTube as well. Has a weird sense of humour. But if you like that sort of stuff, you can always subscribe to his channel. I actually put a link down to his channel in the if you're listening to this through YouTube, in the description box below. Yes. Mike from Couch Potato Theatre has been uploading a series of video. It's called the Split Pea Coffee Shop, and the story behind that is there was a guy that we knew who used to come into our hangouts and stuff like that, and seemed okay at first, a little bit socially awkward and stuff like that, but then he started harassing some of our female friends and suggesting all sorts of weird and wonderful things to do with food and themselves, and in a fashion that's not exactly general. It's not really G-rated, and I can't really talk about it here. However, the videos that Mike had done are basically taking everything the guy had said and then like visualizing it. So he's making references to certain things like whipped cream and whatever, and every piece of dialogue pretty much is what's been said about the guy. But these videos are actually hilarious. So you just have to Google Split Pea Coffee Shop and just sit back and laugh. But they're perpetually hilarious. These are videos that are funny every time you listen to them and watch them. And I don't know too many videos that actually do that. And I might do a reaction video, my reaction to these videos. Even though I've seen them like 10 times, 20 times each, they're still hilarious each time, which is amazing to me. And I hope that you guys get the same sort of thrill out of this podcast. Why not do your own podcast? If you've got your own podcast, if you live in Adelaide, if you live in Australia, if you live anywhere in the world and you speak English, let me know where that you've got and you do a podcast. Let me know, and let me listen to your podcast, and I will broadcast it. I will advertise it here. I'm not scared to advertise other people's material. You know, I have my particular audience. The fact that I have an audience is still amazing to me, and I'm still excited. And even though I have my challenges and have to fight sometimes the urge not to do this, you know, it happens. It happens to every celebrity has it. Everybody has their days when you think, oh God, do I have to? But sometimes you just got to record. I do record this a few times. I'll record a few seconds just to get my voice right, just to get the recording right before I start, and then once I'm happy, then I'm off and running. The other thing someone highlighted online, because I've been doing research into podcasts and things like that to make this show better for you guys, and therefore any feedback, positive and negative, is always helpful. So feel free to leave positive and negative feedback in the comments section down below, clicking like, etc., etc., subscribing to the channels, adding me to Spreaker if you've got a Spreaker account. If you had a Spreaker account before and you decided not to have one again, I'm not asking you to rejoin Spreaker. I think once you've sort of lost interest in something, there's no point going back to it. But the more listeners and things that I have, the more options that I have. So the more reviews that I have on Stitcher, so stitcher.com/podcast/liberator-x. Scroll down, there's a big orange button that says write a review. If you write a review, I can have Stitcher take the show seriously and so forth as well. If I have like another 80 something followers on Spreaker, then iHeartRadio takes me more seriously. So you never know. Anyway, I don't really want to self-promote too much. However, I do know it's an essential part of the podcast. I do want to have a little bit more information. That was just stuff off the top of my head. I was inspired to do this podcast by a movie director by the name of Kevin Smith, who did Clerks, Chasing Amy, Mallrats, and other, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, those sorts of movies. And so he stopped making. Well, he's made a few movies since, but he started doing podcasting full time, pretty much. and the rapper Ice-T that I mentioned last time, I think. And he went on to do movies, and I think he's on Law and Order SVU, and he's got a new album out called Manslaughter, from the band Body Count that he started. And it's very heavy music, very heavy metal music. It's not even a word. It is very heavy metal music, and it's absolutely awesome. I love the lyrics. It's counterintuitive with what you think of a heavy metal album. It's anti-drug, it's pro-employment, all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of good stuff in that album. I wish I could talk about it more. However, I've only got 5 minutes left. Now, if you've been enjoying the show so far, and I can talk underwater, and believe me, I could do an hour show, no problems at all. I just got to find decent and interesting content. I will have a lot more stuff for you next week. A little more factoids and stuff like that. I'll be busting more memes. Now, if you are interested in being on the show, leave a comment down below. If you're listening by YouTube, you can leave me an email at shane_lockwood@hotmail.com with sound bites and things like that, and they will go into the show. You can send me a tweet on Twitter. That's at SHIDO, and that's Shido on Twitter. And let me know that you're listening to the show. Oh, I've got to think of a podcast. I'm losing it. I'm absolutely losing it. The code word. Ooh, let's see. What have I got around me? Let's see. The the code word for today is flavor. FLAVOUR. The code word is flavor. And thank you for adding flavor to the podcast by actually listening to this thing for so long. Thank you. I will be here once again next week, hopefully with a bit more entertainment and more informative stuff. I'm still trying to find my feet, and I think by about the 20th episode I'll know which direction I'm going to go. However, it's all up to you guys. It's all up to you. I can do whatever you want, but it's all up to you. It's up to the audience, it's up to the fans, and I respect your opinions, and that's why I like the feedback. That helps me quite a lot. I'm starting to get my passion again for doing this. The secret to this is keeping the passion, keeping the enthusiasm up, but also keeping the fans happy. And yeah, it's currently 7:20 AM in the morning, and I'm going to finish my curried noodles. And I hope that you guys take it easy like a Sunday morning. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Please tune in next week. Click like, click subscribe, do all those funny things. Send me a tweet, etc. And I'll have some fantastic stuff for you next week. Hopefully I'll have an interview with Gero Black. And you may have heard him in a previous show. But yeah, that's all from me today. Look after yourselves. Bye for now.